Good morning and welcome everyone. This is Michael Venezia. I'm the head of the Equity Trading Division here at Tradeview Markets, and this is Tuesday, July 14th. A little bit of a muted reaction this morning after a nice day. I'll get into in a second for the U.S. markets, which are actually following the European markets on the first trading day, if you will, after the so-called Greek deal. And as I said in yesterday's webcast, probably a little bit of the volatility in a couple of these little index reverse ETFs, UVXY and TVIX, are probably going to die down. As a matter of fact, I was very surprised how bad of a day that TVIX had. Anyway, as I sit right now, 8 o'clock Eastern, Tuesday morning, for those of you, my close watchers and those that watch avidly, probably going to know what I'm going to say, and yeah, the word is typical. And what's typical? We woke up in Micron, MU, once again I'll get into that in a second, received a supposed $21 a share takeover offer from a Chinese firm, which would actually be the largest takeover of any Chinese company, of an American company, in history. I'll tell you how the stock reacts in a second. And the reason why I say typical is because of those that have a little bit of a thicker skin, that are building a position in Micron and catching the proverbial knife. Now, we all know that that MU, when we were talking about this, in the semis in particular, they're a cyclical sector, and DRAMs more specifically, as you can see by the charts on STX or SanDisk, or even Micron in particular. AMD last week warned as well, and we talked about QLGC. But I say typical because it would have been nice if, after all the Micron trading that I've done, and I've traded it for over 20 years, I was one of the best traders out there. It used to be $90, $100 stock in a thick, good mover, real juicy stock. It was great. So, there's a cliche that they never really give you the dream setup, like a dream a shorting setup, or the time when you really want to load in all along, or that way, and it very rarely happens. And it would have been nice if it does come to fruition. I'm not sure. I'll get into that probably tomorrow morning, as more investors or prominent hedge fund managers are coming out and commenting on Micron. Some saying it's worth more, some saying it's not. Well, we'll see how the stock acts, and we'll also see how the other stocks in the group act, that being SanDisk, STX, Storage Technology, maybe Western Dig, Nevada. We're kind of getting a little bit out of the DRAM situation, but it's a semi, and we'll see if it's going to either propel the futures forward or the group. I'm not sure how much credence there's going to be. Once again, you have to do a little bit of your due diligence going forward, but right now the stock's not acting that strongly. But I say typical because it would have been nice to have Micron on a day, it closed week yesterday, in a strong market being up nicely. So it would have been nice to have it, and everybody said, "Oh, finally, I could wash my hands of Micron. I had it when it got taken over," and that would have been another good story, because a lot of people have gotten hurt trying to catch the proverbial falling knife. But that's why I say typical. So I don't have it. I have some Fitbit. I have what else do I have? Yeah, I have Fitbit. I have some Twitter and some Facebook. So let's go with what happened yesterday. Where we're going today. Chart on the SPYs yesterday, they opened up nicely on the Greek exit deal. They really didn't have that much of a range, as you can see. Even the proverbial 1030 that I always like to talk about, which was 209.23. I mean, you go back until 3 o'clock, 209.72. I mean, it was a nice gap up. It was good for some confirmation. The IWM had a nice day too. So this is, I would call this a resting day, because we still have, the Shanghai hanging over our heads. But you know what? JP Morgan came out with earnings this morning. It's looking up $1. Wells Fargo came out. We'll see what happens there. But sometimes don't really gauge this, because I've seen both. One day JP Morgan be very strong and Wells Fargo be very weak on earnings. But listen, when it comes to the semis, let's look at MU, which, by the way, right now is trading $20, a little less than $20. So we're going to see how the rest of the group acts. MU. We're going to look at SanDisk. We're going to look at STX. We're going to look at QLGC. Look at all these. There's the chart. I mean, that really didn't merit along. So let's see how the stock acts during the day. Once again, let's put it in a macro view. There is another takeover of a corporate company.